I think I can just go right on to talking about Yasuaki Yamashita, who maybe a lot of you know. I know some of you I've seen very clearly, definitely know him. He's been around a good while. I've known him around 20 years, and he's certainly a beloved part of the San Miguel community. He is actually a Habakasha. He actually was in the atomic blast in Nagasaki. And let me see if we got, we've got 5 images, and one of them shows exactly where the bombs hit and shows the ring around them, which was, and I got him to show me where he was actually living on the map. Okay, Yasuaki is a linguist. I don't know if he says that about himself, but he certainly is. He came here from in 1968 with the Olympic Games as largely a translator. He speaks, he spoke already Spanish at that time. He's also real good in English and apparently Nahuatl, although that I cannot testify because I do not know any Nahuatl. He's also a painter and a ceramist, and let me see, he feels a responsibility, a personal responsibility, particularly as the years go on, to talk about his experience and about just what nuclear weapons can do and have done. And I'm going to give the microphone over right away to Yasuaki.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to be here. This moment for me is very important to share my atomic bomb experience because we don't want no one suffer like we suffer. In 1945, August 9, second atomic bomb was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. To talk about my experience, it is not so easy. We survivors still suffering. The moment of the blast, to remember that nightmare, it is so difficult. But it's very important you understand what really happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki almost 74 years ago. We have still 15,000 nuclear weapons serving United States, Russia, United Kingdom, France, China, Pakistan, India, Israel, North Korea. And this moment, almost 3,000 nuclear weapons are ready to launch any moment. We have a very difficult moment. So I think it's very important to understand why we survivors had been talking about that moment of the tragedy. I was 6 years old. We are living 1.5 miles from the hypocenter. That day, there were 3 emergency sirens. That means imminent air raid, but nothing happened. So people were doing everyday's life. One neighbor passed by saying, one mysterious airplane flying over the city, so we must be very careful. My mother answered, nothing going to happen as always. That was true. The city of Nagasaki wasn't suffered so much, like comparing like a big city, Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya, Fukuoka, all big cities were destroyed completely. But Nagasaki hasn't suffered much. But that moment, my sister was inside of the house, came to my mother, said, Mother, on the radio announcing a mysterious airplane flying over, so we must be very careful. That moment, my mother called me in case we're going to enter our shelter. Those days, almost all Japanese houses had private shelter in case there's enough, they don't have enough time to go to the community shelter, they can use the private shelter. The private shelter, digging small hole under the floor, you can use that hole. So my mother called me. With the moment we entered the house, came tremendous flash, like 1,000 lightning at the same time. It was very strong. So my mother pulled me down to the floor, covered my body with hers. Then came strong explosion. We felt many javelins flying over our body. Then all of a sudden, silence. So we stood up. We saw the window, the doors, the roof were disappeared. We didn't understand what happened. Then, crawling to the shelter, my sister already was there. She was crying. And my mother asked her, what happened? She said, Mother, I think I got oil. Oil means those days, there are rumors the United States were going to chemical weapon, but no one understood what kind of chemical weapon. So people normally say, like a kind of oil, because my sister was feeling some liquid, oily liquid running down from her head. But we couldn't see anything because it was so dark. So we stayed in the shelter about 10 minutes. The moment my mother decided to take us to the shelter, we came out to the light. My sister, the head of my sister was covered with a small piece of glass. She was bleeding. Fortunately, it wasn't so deep. So my mother took all the piece out, cleaned up the blood. We dashed to the mountain, to the community center. But I want to mention my sister. She was 13 years old, but When she was 5 years old, by accident, she was amputated one of her legs, and she was using the prosthesis. But that day, the prosthesis is so uncomfortable. She couldn't walk like a normal person. That's the reason school was prohibited her to attend the school, because in case of emergency, or the bothering of the other student. But the moment we ran to the shelter, she ran much faster than we did. The first time I saw her behave like a normal person, it was last time. I guess she was so scared, so she behaved like that action. In the shelter, already many neighbors were there. Everybody was so scared. No one understands what really happened, such a destruction. We heard about the destruction of Hiroshima, but no one understood it was atomic bomb. Just people said it was very strong bomb. About 30 minutes after, the children went to the mountain to catch the insect. I have to mention here. The time of no air raid or air attack, the children normally used to go to the mountain to catch the insect, like cicadas or dragonfly, because we didn't have any kind of toy to entertain with. One of the children, he got very severe burn on his back. He was suffering. There's no doctor, no medicine, no nurse. He died about 2 days after. His burn was infected with maggot. Then we could see from the shelter our city of Nagasaki was burning day after day. But we were just watching our city was burning. No one said anything. We didn't have any expression. We are kind of shocked. The problem was there's no food. Before the blast, already we had food shortage, but after the blast, nothing to eat. We wanted to eat something, but nothing. We were almost starving. So my mother decided to take us to the countryside with our relatives. They are farmers. So my mother thought maybe they have some amount of food for us. For that reason, we walked through close to the hypocenter. Everything was burned up, total desolation. People working like ghosts. Still, so many corpses were there. It was grotesque scene. If I say I saw that moment, the hell, that word is not enough. I think there's no word to describe that grotesque or chaos, terrible scene were there. Our relative didn't have enough food, so we walked through again, close to the hypocenter, to re-establish our normal life. The life was so difficult. To get some amount of food, we made trip to the countryside, taking train, and you must take in some precious stuff like a kimono, jewelry, to exchange with some food, like a potato or sweet potato. The rice is so difficult to get. But anyway, we survived. Life was so difficult. Then, after the high school, I started work, but at the same time, I had very severe anemia. I was losing a lot of blood. Many doctors practiced on me endoscopy and blood test, but they couldn't find any reason why I was losing a lot of blood. Very severe anemia. That lasts about 2 years. After 2 years, meanwhile I couldn't work. Then, after 2 years, I started to have very healthy life. So I started to work at the Atomic Bomb Hospital in Nagasaki by recommendation of my friend. But at that moment, until that moment, I never thought I'm an atomic bomb survivor. But in the hospital, many people die every day. Many people were suffering by cancer. Normally at that time, it's leukemia. One case, I think it's about 20 years old, like my age. He was suffering by leukemia. And I had same type of blood. So in case of transfusion, the doctor called me, could you give us some blood? So I did when I could. One day, his body was covered black spot. He died. So that moment I said, this is my case. I'm going to die like him. I don't know when. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But I'm sure I'm going to die like him. So it was so difficult to work in a hospital. but I made it work. So at the moment, those days, we started suffering by discrimination. Many people after the blast entered the hypocenter. No one understood there was radioactivity. People were contaminated, started dying, apparently without no reason. There's no injuries, no sickness, any sign of damage by blast. But people started dying. So the people didn't suffer by the atomic bomb started saying the survivor carrying some contagious disease, So we must separate them. We don't have any contact with them, especially the women suffered much than men suffered, because no one married the women in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Many women wanted to form the whole house and have children. So they tried to escape from the city, go to another city to have normal life and marry someone, have children. But immediately discovered they were Hiroshima and Nagasaki, divorced. So many women couldn't stand that discrimination. They committed suicide. Many women those days committed suicide because no one understood there was radioactivity. And personally, I suffered by discrimination also. The people were working at the hospital, atomic bomb hospital. One of the women, one day we are having a meeting. In front of them, she said, I'm never going to marry any atomic bomb survivor. When I heard that, I was condemned. I never going to marry someone. So I was suffering. I was running away from the hospital. I want to go anywhere. No one knows me. I am an atomic bomb survivor. But it was so difficult. I don't mind anywhere. No Japan. So no one knows me. I'm an atomic bomb survivor. Then, 1968, I had a chance to come to Mexico City. There was Olympic Games. I had a job, but during the Olympic Games, exclusively just during the Olympic Games, to me, doesn't matter. I want to run away from Japan. So I got a job. I came to Mexico City. But after the Olympic Games, I think almost I had 2 years in Mexico City. I started to have the same problem, severe anemia. I was losing a lot of blood. I fainted out on the street, in the theater, in the restaurant. So again, doctors practiced on me endoscopy or blood test, but couldn't find any reason why, what's happening inside of my body. So one day, I told to my friend I was atomic bomb survivor. And I asked him, don't tell anyone I'm atomic bomb survivor. I don't want to suffer again in Mexico. So he said, okay. The time passed. In 1995, I received phone call from the son of my friend. He was studying at University of Tec de Monterrey, the campus Querétaro. He said, Yasuaki, are you a atomic bomb survivor, right? So I asked him, how do you know? He said, my father told me. My father heard from your friend. So he wanted to come to his university to tell my atomic bomb experience. I said, no. It is so painful. I don't want to do that. But he insisted. It was very important for us to understand what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Because in 1995, France practiced a nuclear test in Pacific Island. So the news was spread out and also came to Mexico. So it was very important to understand for them. So he insists, please come to us, come to our university, tell your story. So finally I accepted. But at the beginning, I started suffering. It was so difficult. But the moment I finished my testimony, at the same time, I started to feel my pain was disappearing. So I said, this is it. This is kind of therapy to me. I must talk. I must share my experience. And also, it's very important. Since then, I'm giving my testimony the moment I have offered from the school or the university. And 2012, I started work in New York with Hibakusha Stories. This is NGO. They are inviting many Hibakusha to come to New York and visit high school with high school students, share our atomic bomb experience. So far, we visited more than 100 schools and share our experience over 40,000 students. We worked also with United Nations because this is very important moment. Our time is going. Average age of survival over 82 years. So we don't have much time to share our experience. We've been training young students in Japan to continue to keep transmitting our voices. But it's not enough. So we need your help. Because each one could work, could say, we don't need nuclear weapon. We cannot live with nuclear weapon. Maybe you think the work you're going to do is not big enough. But I think one voice is not strong enough, but two voices much stronger than one. So you can do by yourself. Don't think this is not a very small thing, it's not important. But think, if you drop the tiny stone into the water, that make a big wave. So your voice could make a big wave. One day, everybody understand we don't need a nuclear weapon. Because the life is beautiful. We don't want your beautiful life is destroyed instantly by nuclear weapon. So please help us. We need your help. Without your help, we can do many things. It's impossible. We've been working years and years. Last year, 2 years ago, July 7, 1917, in the United Nations, 122 countries signed up to ban nuclear weapons. Obviously, the country had nuclear weapon didn't want to sign the paper. But that July 7 to us, it's very important moment. We've been waiting years and years of that moment to people say to ban nuclear weapon. And also, July 7 in Japan is the Star Festival. The people write their desire in the small paper, hang in the bamboo tree. Their wish come true. So July 7 United Nations, 122 countries signed the paper to ban nuclear weapons. It was very important. Also, I want to say that Mexico all the time has been taking initiative to ban nuclear weapons. They began 1963, I think it's 1963, and I think the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the moment it was going to happen, nuclear war, United States or Russia. I think at that moment, not Russia, Union Soviet. And that moment, Mexican government said, we are not going to participate in that problem. We are going to create nuclear-free zone. So the Mexico invited some country to sign the papers, create first nuclear-free zone. So that's the reason Garcia Robles, he received a Nobel Peace Prize. Since then, many countries signed creating the nuclear-free zone. And also, 2015, and Mexican government organized nuclear, to talk about humanitarian consequences to use nuclear weapons. There were 165 countries discussing about to ban nuclear weapons. So Mexican government all the time taking initiative to invited many countries. So please, also you can take action. You can say to your government, we don't need nuclear weapon. And you can share this experience with your family, with your relative, with your friend. We must create nuclear-free zone because, as I said, we don't want no one suffered like we suffered. Suffering is not the moment of the blast. Second and the third generation could suffer because gene mutation. This is not confirmed scientifically, but there are many second and third generation suffering by cancer, more than normal person. So please, you just speak up. We don't need nuclear weapon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for sharing your experience. I wanted to know about the children that survived, like you, from 6 to 20. Were you in school? Were many other children with you? Did your sister survive? What was your childhood experience?
Yes, it's our life during the children was so difficult. And after next year, 1946, I started primary education. It was the first time there's no militarized. It was normal education. But most children was suffering and were starving because there's no food enough. And I want to tell one thing that's very memorable to us. The moment we suffering, one day we had a wonderful meal. It was dry milk, raisin, and dry bread. Today, those are nothing. But the moment we're starving, it's like a wonderful meal from the heaven. So we asked the teacher, where it come from, this wonderful meal? The teacher said, from the American soldiers. So we said, thank you, American soldiers. Give us such a wonderful meal. It was glorious. Somebody said, one moment, how was it possible to receive such a thing from the enemy? So I said, we are starving. If you are 6 or 7 year old child, you refuse such a meal? It was impossible. It was for us. It's glorious. Just one time, but was enough. At that moment, we said, thank you, American soldiers. But anyway, the children were so suffering to get some food. It's about, I think, the Japanese government announced 1951, and the war is over. It's taken about 6 or 7 years. Meanwhile, it was so difficult. People suffered to get some food.
Thank you for sharing your story. May I
Thank you.
ask, in school, what were you told was the cause of the bombs? And how did the school or the government try to explain this?
And so each time we go to the school, as a mostly high school student, we've been working in New York. And last year, we were in Burlington, Vermont. So, and also Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been working in both cities. The most visiting high school. But at Hibachi Story, this organization, the president, her name is Kathleen Sullivan. She is nuclear educator. So she, before our testimony, she explained what is nuclear weapon, what happened in case explode the nuclear weapon, the problem, the radioactivity, the destruction is terrible, the heat. You can see the pictures. You can see the pictures. The temperatures at the moment of the explosion. In the floor level, that's at 3,000, 4,000 Celsius. So you can see the people who were there disappeared. Simply disappeared. It is so difficult. So she, Catherine, explained what is really nuclear weapon. So before our testimony, the student understand perfectly what is the nuclear weapon problem.
I'm wondering whether the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were treated separately from all the other victims of World War II in Japan as a separate group, because they really were special, those two cities. And further to that, did the Japanese government ever recognize you officially and compensate you in any way?
Thank you for the question. Yes, at the beginning nothing happened. We didn't understand anything what's happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki until 1954. Almost 10 years passed. Those days, many countries testing nuclear weapon in the Pacific Island. One day, Japanese fish boat cruised to the island, and the momentarily they covered ashes. So they didn't understand what's happening here. So they back to Japan. One of the fishermen died and started getting sick. So the first time Japanese government mentioned there was radioactivity problem. Until that moment, we didn't understand. We didn't know that. So since then, the people talking about the radioactivity problem in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Until 1960 something, the government helped support us, paying medical expenses and some economical support. But that the survivor must live in Japan, outside of Japan. The people are not survivor anymore. That happened to me. 68, I lived in Japan. That moment, I lost my certification. Each time I back to Japan, they gave me until the time I'm going to stay in Japan, you are a survivor. So we sued the Japanese government. And 1975, finally, the government accepted, doesn't matter anywhere the survivor live in the world, the survivor is a survivor. So now we are receiving medical expenses support and some economical support.